Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of Leadership Untitled with Karen Turner. That's me. I help leaders build influence. Today, we are talking about money. Honey, as you saw, we're going to be talking about the state of pay, the state of compensation. On April the 19th, I am hosting a masterclass. So next Tuesday, April the 19th, I'm hosting a masterclass where I'm going to be sharing my top strategies for meaningful, effective salary negotiations with your current employer. I add that last part because I see a lot of advice and a lot of energy put into the negotiations that happen when you are getting your job, when you are interviewing, you've been offered the position, and then it's time for the heavy negotiations. I will acknowledge that that is certainly the best time for you to put in all of your negotiation energy because that is the time where you will see the biggest increase in your compensation from one, either it's an organization to another organization, or it is moving within a department to another department. But whenever you have the shift of a new position, a new job, that's the time for sure to put everything into your negotiating power and to follow all of the tools and techniques that you have read. Perhaps you're working with a coach. That is definitely the time to get, as the phrase says, the best bang for your buck. The problem with those discussions, however, is that they stop. And through my years of working as a leader and through interacting in networking in many different groups on different sites, there's not as much energy put into the conversation about what happens to your salary once you have accepted the job. What happens? And from the conversations I have had anecdotally in my 10 plus years of career, my 10 plus years of career in leadership, executive and senior leadership, the feeling is the consistent feeling that I hear is that I have lost my negotiating power. I no longer have the ability to negotiate once I've accepted the job. Whatever I accepted at the start of my position, that is it. After that, I lose control of my salary, of my ability to earn income, and I just have to go with the tide. And that is not the case. And it's always heartbreaking for me to hear that sentiment because it's not true. And again, yes, I absolutely acknowledge that the time where you're going to see the biggest shift in your salary is when you are shifting to a new position, especially within a new organization. But it doesn't mean that you've lost your control. And it doesn't mean that you just have to go with the tide. I want you to own your salary. And that is the name, that is the name of the site where you can go secure your seat for just $20, ownyoursalary.com. And I've titled it Six Figure Salary Secrets because I want to share the strategies that I have shared with clients, even with team members, which I know so many leaders might be, why would you share that with your team members? I do believe that we have an obligation to help guide and help and provide advice. It's not just a one-way street in an employer-employee relationship. So I've helped team members, I've helped clients, I've helped colleagues, I've helped myself with these strategies. In my years of leadership and leading a wide variety of teams and different education levels, different expertise required, sorry about that, I almost tripped backwards on a cord. In the years I've had the opportunity to say yes, and when I've had the opportunity to say yes, that's felt good. But there has been a greater number of times that I have said no. And again, where I could counseling the team member on why it's a no at the time and why or how they could better present their case. I know what the no's look like. I also know that you could have a really strong argument, which helps someone like me when I worked in middle management be able to make a very strong case, add to that case to take it to the decision, the ultimate decision makers. Um, and I know what it feels like to still get a no in those situations. And I'm going to talk about what to do and what your options are, what strategies you can use in those situations to be sure that you still leave with an action plan. So it's April 19th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, ownyoursalary.com. It is just $20. And I know that, and I can't guarantee that coming to this class, coming to listen to these strategies will automatically lead to a salary increase for you. But what I can say is that I am confident that these strategies will help you think about and shift your mindset about your salary, and that you're going to look at it as another stream of income. We talk about diversifying your streams of income, and we do. We hustle in different ways to be sure that we have different avenues by which we're earning income, but sometimes we forget about our salary where we go 40 plus hours of the week, and you do have control over how you have the conversations about your salary and your compensation. So two things I want to talk about: why I'm so passionate. I've shared just a little bit about why I'm passionate, and I'm going to talk about why it's just $20. Because if using these techniques do turn into a salary increase, it's probably going to be more than $20. So I understand that the value of what I'm offering is certainly more significant than $20, but I'll talk about why it's also so inexpensive. As I've shared through the years, I've coached women, even my own team members, just to even have the courage to ask about salary. Because there is that stigma around talking about money, and I find that it predominantly affects women. That when I'm speaking to them about salary, about compensation, how to talk about it, or even urging them to have the courage to think about talking about salary and thinking about what they would ask for or how they would frame that discussion. Oh no, I'm just grateful for my job. I'm grateful for the salary that I have. I don't want to appear selfish. It's good to be grateful, for sure. We should all have a sense of gratitude, but that doesn't mean that you don't have or you have lost the opportunity to advocate for yourself. I want you to develop that sense of and push aside all women, to put especially women of color, to push aside those feelings that you somehow have to be more grateful and that you would be selfish or greedier or more selfish than your counterpart, your male counterpart. And that is not the case. Salary discussions are happening all the time. We hear a little bit about it in the news when there's a big uprising or a change. Can't think of the word right now. At a big organization, when a CEO leaves and we learn about the parachute package, those packages have to be negotiated, and they happen all the time. And depending on where you work, your senior team members may also have packages that allow that even if they do something that causes them to be fired, they'll still be paid a significant amount of money, either their entire salary for a certain amount of time, part of their salary, but they negotiated to ensure that their obligations and their lifestyle would not be impacted, even to the point that if they're fired, they're still compensated. And of course, I know you can argue with me about the responsibility, the increased responsibility, the pressure, and I will definitely give you that. But what I am saying is that there is room for negotiation. No matter what your position, no matter what your role, no matter what your title, there's room for negotiation with your current employer about your compensation. So I want to push that thought aside that somehow by you asking as a female that you are selfish and that you are not being grateful, because that is not the case. Salary is a sign of respect. I know that there are research studies that show that people don't leave a job for salary, it's for other conditions. But I will make the argument that part of those conditions that cause people to leave is salary and not feeling appreciated. How many times have we signed a job description when we've negotiated that job? We have a job description, but over the years, we've taken on more responsibilities that fall outside of the other duties as assigned, that fall outside of that, that have just taken on, and we're not appreciated and we're not recognized. Saying thank you goes a long way. Showing appreciation in non-monetary ways does go a long way. But eventually, as a sign of respect and recognition for the work being done and the organization earning money on the work being done, there has to come a point where we talk about monetary compensation, where we talk about salary. And so, yes, the studies will say people don't leave for salary, but I again make that argument that salary is part of the culture, part of the feeling of lack of appreciation. So, salary is a sign of respect at an organization. I want to equip women, especially women of color, with the tools that they need to create meaningful conversations about their salary, about their pay. And I know that that may not make me popular in leadership circles, in some leadership circles, but that's okay because it's necessary to remove that mystique or that mystery, the again, that negativity that comes around talking about salary, talking about pay. The Equal Pay Act went into effect in 1963. I've already done the math, so I know the numbers. So I'm not doing public math here. 59 years ago, 59 years ago, the Equal Pay Act went into effect, and there is still a pay gap. This year, the Equal Pay Day, and for those of you who don't know what the Equal Pay Day is, I'm going to read it. It is the day where, oh, I didn't actually write it down. So let me do it. It is the day where a woman has to work until to earn what a man made the previous year. So on average, what a man earned in 2021, it has taken a woman on average until a certain date in the year to earn that same amount in the following year. So generally that date is in March. This year it was March 15th, and there was celebration. There was a proclamation made at the White House. There was celebration because this is the earliest date yet that a woman has had to work to make the same pay as a man from the previous year. It was March 15th. The year before was March 23rd. What that looks like is 83 cents in 2021 when it was March 23rd, and 82 cents in March 15th of 2022. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. It barely qualifies as progress. We have become so conditioned to accept this pay gap that we can place our watches, we can set our watch, we can mark it on our calendar that it will be in March. This date has been in March for years. For years. The equal pay date has been in March. People plan things around it. And we've become so conditioned to it that we don't even question it anymore. I always know that the equal pay date is in March. And that's just it. And when I began to truly think about what it meant when I was searching about equal pay day, when is it? When is it in March? And it just hit me that that's unacceptable, that I know it's in March and it's always been in March. We should be making greater strides in 2022 to close the pay gap, to eliminate, not just to eliminate. I don't want to close it. I want to eliminate it, because we have become okay with a little bit of progress. With a 1 cent progress, we celebrate. And I'm not saying celebrate wins, but let's think about all the years before that. When we accepted and continue accepting it, one of the things as I was doing my research about this year's equal pay day, one of the sources I found, or actually several sources that I found, articles that I read, broke down why the move from March 23rd to March 15th this year is actually superficial. There were over 1 million women who left the workforce in 2021 as part of the pandemic. And they were mostly lower paid women who were paid low wages. When you remove a significant portion of the lower part of the pay scale, then what happens? Your median rises. So when you account for the hours worked, actual hours worked, looking at and readjusting the calculations, the gap is no longer, so a woman makes 83 cents for every dollar that a man makes. Instead of 83 cents, it's actually 73 cents. So it's not even 82, it's 73 cents. That's where we sit. And I'll make the argument with you that we should actually call it equal pay year, because March 15th, or whatever date it is in March, represents the average of all women and ethnicities. There you go, of all women and all ethnicities. So actually, white women are generally at the start of the year, around March and April. Then we have Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders. Their day is May 3rd this year. These are all for 2022. So their day is May 3rd. This is with the calculations that led to the 82 cents. So this is 75 cents. They are paid 75 cents for every dollar paid to a white male. Black women's payday is September 21. What's devastating to me about this date specifically is back in 2018, I did a live on my Facebook page. It was in August. It was actually, I believe, August 13th or August 7th or 8th, but it was at the start of the month, and that was the equal pay day for Black women. So in the course of 4 years, my baby girl, I'd just gone back. I'd been back to work from maternity leave for a few months at that time. She wasn't even yet a year. But in the lifetime of my 4-year-old daughter, equal pay day for Black women has gone from the start of August to September 21. So they are paid 58 cents for every dollar to white men. Native women's equal pay day is November 30th, and they are paid 50 cents for every dollar paid to a white male. The Latinas equal pay day is December 8th, and Latinas are paid 49 cents for every dollar paid to white males. And I, for some reason, am getting emotional just talking about it. That's unacceptable. It is not equal pay day. It should actually be equal pay year, because the inequality perpetuates itself and it is getting worse. But we celebrated going from March 23rd to March 15th. We celebrated a cent. It's not acceptable. So yeah, I'm having the talk about Equal Pay Day in April because officially it happened in March, but it's still ongoing. And what that looks like from a dollar perspective, from in a 40-year career, that's anywhere from $400,000 to $1 million lost wages. So yes, I am absolutely passionate about talking about salary, and I may not, as one person, be able to impact the system and the structures, but I am going to do what I can by educating women on their rights, educating women on how to effectively have conversations and develop the strategies that they need to help them kick the mindset that tells them that they don't have the right to ask. They don't have the right to advocate for themselves. I'm not even going to use the word ask, that they don't have the right to advocate for themselves about their pay. We're going to kick that aside, and I will work one person at a time if I need to. And that's what brings me to, why is it so inexpensive? It's $20. The value is significantly more than $20, and I absolutely understand that. I actually came up with the idea last year, April. A whole year ago, I came up with this idea and I didn't execute on it. And at the time, I was thinking anywhere from $99 to $150 because I understand that the value is there. This year, different mindset, taking action, but also when I see these stats, it is devastating to know that we are actually moving backwards, and more at a wider level or at a micro level isn't being done. So $20, inexpensive, so that it's accessible. Could I have offered it for free? Absolutely, I could have offered it for free. But I also know that when you pay for something, when there is a little bit of a sacrifice on your behalf, that you're more likely to attend, and I want everyone to attend live as much as possible, and take action. That's the biggest part. I want you to attend live because you paid for it to attend live. And also, once you attend live, then you're going to get the information. And because you paid for it, you're more likely to take action on at least one of the strategies that I share. Research has shown, research could be me anecdotally, that a lot of people don't actually watch replays. So there will be a replay available. And I urge you, if you can't join live, that you watch the replay. But I know spending a little bit of money, it doesn't even have to be a lot, but spending some money increases your desire to take action, to show up and to take action. So that's it. It is April 19th. It is at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can register. I'll actually add the link. I forgot to do that in the description when I'm done here with the podcast. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, it's ownyoursalary.com. Ownyoursalary.com. Even the fact that I was able to purchase that domain name, ownyoursalary.com, I purchased it earlier this week or last week. It was last week. The fact that it was still available is mind-blowing to me. But I also think it represents where we are in terms of looking at our salaries, in terms of where we are as thinking of ourselves as advocates and the number of resources that are available to help you own that income stream, that you are using your own experience, knowledge, and expertise every single day to get an income, but also to help an organization move forward with their mission and earn their money as well. Thank you so much. That got more passionate, a little emotional. But when you think about that number, that $400,000 to $1 million of lost wages over a 40-year career, that is so significant. And if that doesn't move you, this class is not for you. But I urge you to share it with someone else who's working 9 to 5, putting in their effort, and who's ready to learn how to effectively advocate for themselves. All right, I'll see you next week for episode 19. Yeah, we're almost to 20. Have a good day.